Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Jason Rice Show. So today I sat down with Claire Unkefer, who is a transformational coach, and this was a great conversation. Here is a little bit more about Claire. I am on a mission. This is from her website. I am on a mission to help people understand their symptoms don't always mean there's something wrong with them, and that the traditional model of medicine isn't the only tool at our disposal for emotional healing. Doctors treat anxiety and depression with medication to help activate symptoms, but this approach doesn't address the root cause of why you feel this way. Throughout my nursing career, I noticed that this approach doesn't always give people the real and lasting change that they're looking for. My holistic and intuitive approach to addressing these overwhelming feelings is designed to go deeper and equip you with the tools to experience the lasting change. It combines root cause and subconscious work, emotional release, and conversational energy work to help people just like you overcome their inner obstacles and become the best version of themselves. How do I know it works? Because I struggled with anxiety, depression, and overwhelm for years until I found these methods. Together, we get to the root cause of your emotional pain and change your beliefs, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors so you can experience the happiness and freedom you've craved for so long. During this conversation, Claire actually takes me through an exercise to deal with some kind of root causes of some pain that I've dealt with anger and bitterness towards a particular family member. And so you get to watch that. I just decided to let myself be very transparent and a guinea pig right here on the show. And we just have a great conversation about, look, and by the way, let me back up a little bit. Neither I nor Claire in this conversation are saying that there's not a need for psychotherapy and medical assistance in dealing with some of the things that people struggle with regard to mental health issues and anxiety issues. But what this conversation is about is just an alternative. It's either to work in conjunction with what your therapist or physician is doing with you. Neither Claire nor I are physicians. None of this is meant to be taken as medical advice, and neither of us are condemning the practice of mental health and wellness. So please don't think that at all. This is just kind of to equip you to use the tools at your disposal and to open and unlock your subconscious in ways that will help your conscious mind in dealing with some of these struggles that every single one of us have had at one time or another. Enjoy this conversation with Claire Unkefer. Thanks for listening. Claire, welcome to the Jason Wright Show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad that you made the time. And the thing I want to do first and foremost, before we get into kind of the details of your take on coaching and helping people work through some of the barriers and boundaries that they may have set there themselves or that life throws at them, and how to tackle them and to not be a victim. That's one of my favorite things you talk about a lot. I mean, you and I are like right here on that deal. And so, but before we get into all the details of all these things, kind of let this audience know your background and how you came to the point where you decided not only were you going to help yourself to put your strongest foot forward, but also give others the tools that they need to do the same thing.
Yeah, it was just out of frustration really because I was doing all the things that they told me to do. I was taking the medicine and seeing the therapist and uh doing this self-care and I would just keep finding myself in this place and I felt very helpless and I also felt like the medical system couldn't help me and but I knew I was like, no, this is not the way it's going to be for me. And so that frustration, when we reach a point of anger almost, that that sometimes gives us enough personal power to change and to step out of because change takes energy. And so I think that frustration and anger at because I wasn't receiving the results that I wanted empowered me, gave me enough personal power to search and find. And once I did start making real progress, I was like, why doesn't everybody know about this? Why isn't the medical community talking about this? Oh my gosh, I've got to tell as many people as I can. And so that is how I got into it. It's a message of, hope and inspiration, and you aren't inherently flawed. This is not how it has to be for you forever. There's nothing, you know that I'm not a, a subscriber to the disease model of depression. There is certainly clinical depression. I'm a nurse, and so there are there is clinical depression, but then there's this, like, epidemic of unhappiness and generalized kind of, I heard, someone the other day call it life dysmorphia,
Mm.
and just not being happy with your life, and so I think I'm just, like, ready to help people wake up to the fact that it doesn't have to be that way.
I think that's so empowering. And Claire, and you can disagree with me if you want. That's okay. This is a
Yeah.
disciplined zone. But I see what's happening in particular American society, I think almost global, is that so many external forces are being blamed for our personal unhappiness, our lot in life, everything. And
Mhm.
granted, we are all born at different places on the whatever the imaginary starting line, finish line, middle. We're all born at different starting points in life. Yet we're all given the same 24 hours. We all have the ability to seek within us what our talents are, our flaws that we might need to overcome. But I think it's getting tougher and tougher because, you correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you see this differently, but it seems like right now we live in a society where it's almost like Don Quixote slaying the windmills. We're being told that, you know what, you're born this way, whatever that is. If
Mhm.
you're depressed, if you're not as tall as you want to be, whatever. I love that whole happiness dysphoria. Is that what you called it? Is or the
Life
Li
dysphoria.
Where I
Mhm.
love that. I love that the thought of that. Am I wrong in thinking that, like Jonathan Haidt and so many others are seeing that we have coddled people into believing so many lies about their own personal power that that is working against their own happiness and their mental well-being? Am I off base?
So are you saying that we're telling people they have so much personal power that that message might be hurting them?
I'm saying that there's so much external power coming against them that they don't
Oh,
have the power to overcome it, that instead, we need all these other things to change. We need to rearrange society, education, parenting. We need to just basically restructure every
right.
little facet of life so that Claire Unkefer can then find happiness because it's just not possible for Claire to do it herself. That's
Right. Well, I think we're given that message, honestly, it's a lie, but we're
great.
given that message when people can't help us.
Ah.
Um, and my husband, he does body work. He does a lot of things, but he does body work. And when people come to him in pain, and he's a miracle, I'm grateful I'm married to him. But when people come to him in pain, they've been told by so many doctors, you are so messed up. Your body is so messed up. You're unfixable is the message they're given. And he really hates that because really what happened was that practitioner couldn't help them. And instead of owning that and saying, I am not able to help you, I'm so sorry, they blame it on the patient. They put all the "you are so messed up" on the patient because they don't wanna own the fact that they couldn't help them. And as far as mental health, I think that happens. I think we get labeled, we get slapped with labels, depression, anxiety, um, and sometimes, that my big thing is subconscious work, and that's not the norm. It used to be when psychotherapy started, subconscious work was where it was at, but, it's scary and that's not the way it is now, and so people really aren't getting to the root cause of their issues, why they're feeling the way they're feeling, the source of their emotional pain.
Let's talk about
And
a little bit
yep,
real quick. I wanna
yep,
land on that subconscious idea because
sure.
I'm tracking, the
Mm,
research on subconscious work is there, where, the reticular activating system is an absolute, a tool that we all have if we learn how to leverage it. So talk a little bit about what you mean whenever you go into subconscious work and how it can impact our conscious and our actions and our outcomes. Give a little more context to that.
Sure. So my take is a little different. I am a hypnotherapist. I held 3 different certifications for that, lots of training. However, I don't even hypnotize people anymore to access their subconscious mind. And the reason I found that I didn't have to do that was because some people didn't want to be hypnotized. And so I didn't, yet they were getting the same result. And so subconscious mind sounds like the best way I like to describe it is your mind is like a library. And there's the books that you can see on the shelves, and then there's books in hidden compartments. But sometimes the answers you're looking for aren't in the books on the shelves. Sometimes they're in the hidden compartment, and we're searching and searching and searching in all those books, but you're not going to find the answers because they're simply not there. And that's what I realized was that I didn't have access. I wasn't consciously aware of what I needed to be processing and healing and talking about um, with the traditional modalities. And so it's accessing, I think the subconscious and intuition is so closely related. It's never something that you're super surprised about, to be honest. It's just your mind will give you scenes and memories and drop in words or phrases that paints a picture of what's really going on. And so, but in our everyday thinking mind, we can't access that.
So, kind of take us through a little bit about the hypnosis work. What is happening? Is it a relaxation of the amygdala or the prefrontal cortex? That there's techniques like what is going on at a neurological place to allow one to kind of get into a state where they're able to tap into, like you say, those hidden compartments of their brain that
Mhm.
they're in a conscious state, they're not so accessible. What is happening? And if you don't mind, just kinda talk us through some of the techniques or the strategies that you've used. I know you said you don't really use that anymore but
Mm-mm.
just how you're able to get people to start to access those compartments.
Right. So it's really funny because most people, when you do hypnotize them, say, "That's it. It was hypnotized," because
Okay.
what it feels like is deep relaxation. It feels like if you've ever kind of fallen asleep on the couch, but you can kind of be aware of what's going on around you,
Mhm.
but you don't care. But if someone said, "Hey, Jason," you would open your eyes. And so that's what it feels like. You are the you that's you. Your conscious mind is present for the whole thing, but we try to get you to go to the side. So it's really relaxing you enough to step out of your everyday thinking mind, the thinking mind that solves problems and makes a list and tries to find a solution. And it's so funny. I'm working with a writing coach right now, and she told me that there's actually research that says you can't write and edit at the same time. To be creative, there's different parts of the brain. You have to write and use your creativity, and then you go back and edit, and that engages the logical part of the brain. It's the same way. My biggest part of my job is trying to keep people out of their logical minds and into their bodies and into their receptive mind. And when you're in that state, if you're a meditator and you get into that, theta brainwave state, and I don't know, Jason, do you get imagery when you meditate?
Yeah, I do sometimes. As a matter of fact, now, do you mean like actual like picture images or just random images? Or
Either in
okay.
your mind's eye. Yeah.
I do, and that as a matter of fact, it's no one's ever asked me that question. So, it's interesting. Whenever I get into a deep meditative state, I will start to see, like, flashes of color, like,
Mhm.
and usually it's yellow.
What color? Oh,
It
yellow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, tell me about that. What does that mean?
So that there's no science to that,
Okay,
honestly, but in my own journey, the more I'm meditating, it's closer to a blue purple. Like
okay.
when I've totally pulled back from the world, it's like a blue purple and it's more yellow. Not that's not any kind of scale or anything.
Mhm.
That just, we can't go live on a mountain.
Right.
And and I just think our, we go in and out of the states, but when you meditate regularly, your body goes there without much effort and reaps greater benefits. And so that's why consistency is so important, and you really don't I don't know what your meditation practice is, you really don't have to, like, I need an hour 30 minutes or an hour, it's as simple as just tuning inward, tu tuning inwards, just relaxing, letting everything go, and just coming to your body, to your breath, and then just kind of being there, and then allowing yourself to drop down into that brainwave state. So it's all about states of consciousness. We go in and out of these states of consciousness every day, all day. When we're driving a car, yesterday that happened to me. I was in my car and I went right past my destination,
Yeah.
drove right past, and had to turn around. It's because I was zoning out.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we all do that, and that's what hypnosis feels like to everybody, I think, is like, "That was it? That was I was hypnotized?" Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about because I know one of the things I struggle with a lot is relaxation of my prefrontal cortex to be able to do that deep, just thinking and kind of separating my consciousness and just kind of, detaching for a moment. It's because your brain, your monkey brain is just constantly telling you all the things when you
Mm.
try to get into that state, it starts trying to tell you all the things you should be worried about, even if it's like I don't know about you, but when I sit down to meditate a lot of times I will start remembering things from like 10 years ago that my brain is reminding me, hey, don't forget you're supposed to be pissed off about this. It's this, and
Yeah.
I know it's a survival mechanism. I know all of that, but it's like to fight through that and to finally get it relaxed. But then once you do, and I'm glad you brought up meditation because I think that it was where it really occurred to me was in Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titan. Okay. I'm reading this book and Tim is constantly looking for, I think it even says in the intro of his podcast, the tools and tactics of peak performers. That's what he's looking at. He's trying to tease them out. Like, what do you do? Claire Unkelfer, what do you do to be successful? What do you do to be an overcomer and, really have this strong mental state? And 80% of the people that he had interviewed, the really successful people back at that time, is a number of years ago, obviously, when the book came out, he said the one commonality was meditation,
Hmm.
that the most successful people meditated. And then I was recently watching Jerry Seinfeld on an interview because he's got this new movie on Netflix called Frosted, and I think he might have a new book out or something, or maybe he's just promoting the
I
the
just saw him. He came to our town. He is hilarious.
Oh, he's got yeah, I've seen him 3 times live, and I don't care if it's the same show every time. It always kills. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. So see, I'm so glad you're on the show. Now I know. Now I know that, if I get stuck, I can just go yada, 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 and you'll be like, "Okay, that's cool." Uh, but anyway, he started talking about meditating and how important it is to him. And if you know anything about Jerry Seinfeld and his work ethic and his practice, it is fantastic and phenomenal in that he sits down in the chair every day for an hour. Whether he writes or not, he's very disciplined. And now he's added meditation to that. So without me babbling on about the positive aspects of
Mhm.
meditation, all this, you touched on it a little bit, and the thing I like that you said is that it doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of people, when they hear that, they think it's this woo-woo, you gotta sit a certain way, you gotta take a lotus pose and breathe and have chimes and all this, or you have to be at a spa or something. It's not that complicated, so kind of back up a little bit, and for that
Sure.
listener right now that is like, "I have never meditated in my life, and I just don't but I keep hearing about it," because I think a lot of the things that we're talking about today, I think they're more accepted now as practices of
Mhm.
mental health, both for, I own a nutraceuticals company. More doctors, more physicians are realizing the impact
Mhm.
of supplementation for nutritional deficits. All these things that once were like just kind of these woo woo outside the norm practices that only crazy people like you and I touch are now
Yeah.
becoming more acceptable. So with
That's
that,
because the research is there.
it is. It
It
absolutely
just hasn't made its way into, our primary care office yet, but the
Absolutely.
research is there and published
100%.
in medical journals. Yeah. Anyway,
100%. No,
but backing up.
yeah, but you're absolutely right. So kind of take people that are hearing this and hearing us kind of geek out on meditation and think, okay,
Mhm.
finally, I'll try it. Get them started. How do you start a meditation practice? Like for one of your clients that comes in and you're trying, and it,
Sure.
it becomes part of the toolkit that you're offering them. How do you help them get started with the process?
Well, I'll give you 3 things. The first thing is start with guided meditations. There are so many free guided meditations, on YouTube. Just get on YouTube, pick a free meditation, and do guided because that will train if you're just starting, it is hard to quiet that thinking mind, and so guided meditation helps. Um, some people can't even do that. They actually get more anxious when they stop, and that's because they don't have the ability to tune inwards. It's uncomfortable. I actually had a client last week who just has started stopping a few times during the day and just kind of breathing, just like stopping the go, 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 and just like breathing and coming into her body again until you'll feel this like click, like you've kind of come back to yourself. And I use energy therapy in my conversational um, work. And if you think about your energy and how scattered it might be, just kind of imagine you calling all your energy back to your body and then grounding it down, breathing while you do that. It takes 2 minutes and you'll feel this click and you've come back into your body. You feel more centered, you feel more grounded, you feel more aware. So that can be your meditation practice. 2 minutes. The other thing is maybe we don't need to call it meditation. Maybe we just need to tune inward. And I think that is, what makes Claire Unkefer so successful, my ability to tune inward and find and retrieve the answers that are right for me that most of the time don't make any sense. There's no logic or reason. That's my intuition, my inner voice, whatever you want to call it. And I trust it implicitly. And I make all my decisions, um, hold up all my decisions to that, what feels right for me. Even when, like I listened to one of your episodes on contrast therapy. I'm a huge fan of contrast therapy. I go 3 times a week. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yesterday, I had an appointment. I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I was actually surprised I wasn't feeling it, but I listened to my body. I listened to my body, kind of, okay, body, what do you want to do? And and so it's about listening to yourself. And we have been given the message that it's not okay to do that. And so, because there's no evidence, it doesn't make any sense. And I've been talking to a lot of the corporate sector about, how do we bring intuition back into the boardroom, even, and so I just feel like that's huge.
I could not agree more. One of the things that, because it's something that I really suffered from for a long time, because I would try to stay in my head. I was trying to be this
Hmm.
uber logical and reasoning guy. And I thought feelings are just feeling without attaching the fact. And I think what really kind of tipped me off is whenever uh, I started learning that we do have more neurotransmitters in our stomach than we do in our
Hmm.
head. And so therefore our brain, our stomach is actually, those feelings, those intuitions
Hmm.
are actually attached to real
It's
cognitive
a thing. Yeah.
the thoughts. And so it is a tough thing, because I always don't wanna do things on impulse and, just acting out of feelings in the moment or whatever. And so I can't tell you, Claire, how many times I have gone completely against everything I knew within me because my head would say, "Shove that down. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean anything.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
fear." Like you said, it's just some label. Fear,
Mhm.
it's anxiety. Don't give into that. Do what you know in your mind to be true.
Or what everyone else is doing or saying you should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
another thing that, like, you know, you get to a point where, like, for me, in my and I think this is a good pursuit, but sometimes I think it can be debilitating in that I try to exercise humility to a fault. And so I think, okay, if I go see Claire and she tells me something, she's an expert in this field. So I'm going to defer to her wisdom and knowledge over all the wisdom and knowledge that I have actually gleaned in my whole life. Because if I go with what Jason thinks is right, well, that's being arrogant, and that's I shouldn't do that. I need to exercise humility and defer to the expert, even if it contrasts with those neurotransmitters and those feelings and everything that's in the.
No, no, you shouldn't do that. No.
Eh, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's something that.
No, because actually I have the easiest job in the world. I don't My job is to help you access and interpret the answers that are within you. I would never tell you what's right for you or what I think you should do. My job is to help you access those answers, and that's why I have a really bad business model. Most of my clients to me, about 4 times, and by the end of that, they are empowered, they have the tools, that we've gotten over some major, uh, beliefs that they've had that, dropped some released some emotions, but really they have the tools to listen to themselves, and I had one mom just ask me, I'm seeing her 18-year-old son, "Well, do you think he should do this?" And I said, "I think you should ask him." And I've taught him, we've worked on it, how he can know whether that's right for him, and then I think you should honor that. And, so that's why I say I have the easiest job. It's no pressure on me. I help you find the answers that are within you. And also, when we're doing the subconscious work, your subconscious mind is the boss and guides me and you to where you need to go. And I would say, actually, when you get flashes of things that happened 10 years ago, I would, consider that that could be your mind just saying, pick me. Hey, here's this unhealed issue, Jason, served up on a platter." And all you have to do is take note of it. And I hate it
Mm,
when that happens. Kinda already healed that.
right, right. That's interesting. Well, okay, I got a question for you. This is a weird thing that's been happening to me, and you may go, Jason, I have no idea. All right,
Okay.
so when I've had this deal happen recently where uh, I've just noticed this about myself. People that have wronged me for a number of different reasons, when they die, it's all released. It's like I don't hold anger against people that are deceased. If they're and I try not to hold any. I try to practice forgiveness and grace. It's part of my
Mhm,
faith. I should, but I fail. I'm a fallible human being, and so there are
mhm,
people that I still hold on to anger and bitterness. That it's a constant
mhm,
struggle. But here's the thing. Here's what the record has shown is that if that person right now that's alive today that I'm holding some bitterness or anger towards, and when they pass, when they die, it's released. It's like, well, it immediately pops into my head when I think about them again, and I think about what they did to upset me. If they're dead, I go, well, they're dead, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Do you have
yeah.
any thoughts on what the hell is wrong with me? Because that just doesn't. Right?
Nothing's wrong with you.
Okay.
Um, I think so you are what you're experiencing, you've been hurt.
Yeah.
That you said wrong, you're not angry. Underneath
Right.
anger is always pain is sadness.
Yeah.
So you were hurt and you were sad because my guess is you probably have, your heart was hurt. You
Mhm.
opened up and it was hurt. Or you were misunderstood in some way. So that's hurtful. It's a we are hardwired to protect ourselves from further hurt. And so how do we do that? Your mind will keep reminding you of that pain. Hey, don't remember not to trust people so much. Don't open up so much. Stay closed because you could get hurt and we don't ever want to feel that again. And so I think what's happening to you is normal. I mean, I also think when they die and you release it, um, what do I think about that? I think that I'm trying to think of the word. I want to use the word energy, but that's not what I'm is that's between you is, I don't know if you've heard of chords, and I don't even want to go that woo woo, but there's an aliveness in the feelings that you have for that person and they have for you. And so you don't have to forgive them. In fact, I don't when I'm doing my work on people that have hurt me, I don't work on forgiving them, although that's part of the process naturally usually. Um I seek to release the sadness that's in me, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Mhm.
So I ask the subconscious mind to take me to the root cause of the sadness and a little bit more elaborate than that. And we locate the original wound, the first time you were ever wronged like that. Okay. The first time you were ever kind of were so innocent, probably, and you got hurt. And so you got self protected. And then you healed that. And then when you heal that, everything kind of in the future that happened to you naturally kind of there's a spaciousness that happens,
Mhm.
I would say. And then the sadness is released as a byproduct. And then there's no charge anymore. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Here's what I hear whenever I hear you saying that. All right, so I've studied logotherapy, Viktor Frankl, which has a lot to do with, what kind of things we're talking about here. It's like,
Mhm,
you know, find out every moment, good or bad. I mean, for crying out loud, he perfected logotherapy while he was at Auschwitz and other concentration camps, right?
mhm,
During Nazi Germany. And so what I hear you saying is, and my own personal counselor has told me this, in dealing with certain members of my families, like, you've gotta reach a point of indifference almost to where it's almost a stoic type mindset of going to the thing that has hurt you, and you tell me if I'm off base here, but this is what I'm hearing. You go to the thing that hurt you and you use energy. I think what you do is it's almost like, whatever can kind of dissolve the energy, that's what you do, but you have to go to it and get to a point where that thing that happened no longer hurts you. And then I would tag on to that because some people may hear that, especially my fellow Christians. I hear this, wait a minute, she said she doesn't forgive. And that's not what you said. That's not what I heard at
mm-mm,
all. What I heard you say was a lot of, okay, let me just kind of point the finger because I'm a Christian, so I can say this to myself. A lot of us
mhm.
Christians, we will say, "Oh, yes, I forgive you," because that's what Jesus says that I do. But
But
inside,
have
we
you really?
right, oh, yes, we're angry and we'll talk bad about you, but when we're, I forgive you.
Right.
You're
On the
true.
level of your nervous system and in your
Exactly.
bone.
Exactly.
That's what I'm yeah.
I'm sorry with you.
That's the freedom you're looking for, and if you
Yeah.
I mean, you can edit this part out, but if you want to, we can explore that right now,
Yeah.
so you can see the source,
No, I'm down with it.
and
No, and I'll show it. I'm an open book. That's,
me
welcome to the
too,
Jason Wright show,
and
Claire.
and
I will make it.
maybe someone can learn from it because it is funny when it's nice when it can be experiential because we can talk about it, but then when people can see what I'm saying, then, and your mind will protect you. It won't bring up anything that you wouldn't be comfortable sharing. It's really
Okay.
amazing. When I
Okay.
work with kids and parents are in the room, it's a different session.
Yeah, oh, imagine. Oh, I would totally imagine, yeah.
All
Okay,
right. So
let's do it.
you said anger. So I don't want you to go intellectualize, oh, she said it's sadness, so it's sadness. The feeling you're feeling when you think of this person or people is anger. Am I
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
Is it exactly anger or is it rage or is it irritation? Like would anger be the word you'd use?
I like the word anger but irritation has more of a, anger is like more, "Rrr," and it's not that.
Yeah.
Irritation is more just aggravates the hell out of me kinda. So I think
Okay.
irritation might be a little bit more accurate.
Aggravation, irritation.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like the thing that comes to my mind is like when you wear a shirt and the tag is bothering you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not bothering you that bad, but it's irritating you. It's the
Yeah.
bother.
Yeah. I think
All
that's
right. Where does that irritation live in your body?
most.
So
Okay, go ahead. I'd say in
it
my
can be
stomach.
anywhere
I'd say in my
in your
stomach.
stomach.
That's where I feel it.
Stomach. Okay. Now I want you to kind of now this is where I'm going to ask you to not think about what we're doing right now
Yeah.
and just kind of whatever comes up for you.
Okay.
So if you look at that irritation and aggravation in your stomach, let's just pretend you have internal eyes and you can go down and look at your stomach. What does that irritation, aggravation look like? It's a shape, it's a form, it's a color, it's a fog, it's metal, it's wood, it's what a blob. What is it?
I'd say it's black with it's almost okay, the colors of this, of my show, which is black and that kind of whatever shade of blue that is, it's kinda that all mixed, that
Okay.
black and bluish. That's kinda it's just
Is it solid or is it
it's
uh,
just kind of it's just colors. It's just that's it. It's
colors?
mostly just
Okay.
black and kinda that kinda turquoisey blue.
Yeah. And I do need to say to people because if they are listening and they're like, "Oh my god, this is too weird." So, I do work with, like, Navy SEALs, lawyers, executives, like, I really ask people to just suspend their thinking mind and, just see what happens and what comes up because it's really all about, is it helpful?
Right.
That's what it's about. Do I feel better?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I needed. I needed something that I could access and heal myself and feel better
Sure.
without needing to look at for outside sources and people. Okay, so I want you to give that black blue color eyes and a mouth, make it a character, and it's gonna just stop doing. I want you to connect with it. It's gonna stop what it's doing and look at you, and it's gonna say a very simple word or phrase. And that is going to just drop down or bubble up. Don't think about it.
Okay.
Okay, what is it?
What's the word or thing it says?
What's the word or phrase? Yeah.
Um, you are keeping me alive. That's kind of that's kind of
Okay.
what it is.
Okay. You are keeping me alive. Okay. And then I want you to ask it, and this is the last thing we have to dialogue with this weird thing. I want you to ask it, how old was I when you came to live in my body?
Ooh,
And it might be like that Price is Right wheel that has the spin and has all the numbers, and a bunch of numbers might flash in your mind, but then
no,
it will
Claire, it already
land
popped
on one.
up. It was
Okay,
like
what is it?
4.
4. Okay. Now I just want you to relax,
Okay.
and I'm gonna ask your mind, direct your mind to take you to a time, scene, situation when you were 4 years old related to this irritation and aggravation.
Okay.
And what it's gonna feel like is we've typed it into the Google bar, hit search, and you might kinda have flashes of things going through your mind, and you just open your mind and allow that to happen until it lands on something, and you just stop me when it does.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. So what's happening?
It's weird.
So we've asked his subconscious mind to do is recall the root cause, the scene of his original wounding related to this hurt or irritation, aggravation. I keep using that word. Oh, so bad. Okay. So what's happening in that scene?
What's interesting is it took me to a very happy moment as
Okay.
I'm having, a really, really sweet moment with and these are family members, there's
Mhm.
one in particular, and none of my I don't think any of my family really listens to the show, so yeah, think it but just in
See
case.
how your mind protected you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm like, I don't wanna get into a big Thanksgiving brouhaha or anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
like,
So, as a
it
happy moment, what are
it's a
you
happy
doing
moment.
in this scene?
So we had gone these 2, it was my grandparents. I'd gone fishing with them. I had the whole day with them just by myself, because I
Mhm.
was an only child up until I was 4, and then my dad remarried and brought in and my stepmom brought 2 children, and they had a child together. So I went from overnight almost to and my grandparents went from being my grandparents to being my grandparents and my stepbrother and stepsisters, and it was like, you are no longer the only child, the only great grandson, all those things. It changed overnight, but in that,
Knocked off your throne? Is that a
no,
like,
or yeah,
knocked
just
off your throne?
completely like, but whatever throne I had, I got thrown under it, kind of, and but it's in this
Mhm.
moment I'm thinking of, it's like just me and my grandparents by ourselves. We spent the whole day together. It was really cool because my grandmother had gone to pick me up from the
Mhm.
play school because my biological mother would not allow her to keep me during the day, even though she didn't work and would love to. She was supposed to take me to play school, but I begged, cried, and screamed enough to where she took me back home. And my grandfather, it couldn't have been on a weekend, which my grandfather was a workaholic. He stayed home and they took me fishing on our farm. And
Now, was stepmom and stepchildren already in the picture in this
I
scene?
don't think so. It must have been like
Okay.
right before, because
Okay.
no, they weren't there.
So where is the irritation and aggravation in that scene?
I think because fast forward all of that
Mhm. So
grandmother
it's kinda showing you what you had and then
and
what was taken away. Okay,
and
and
yeah, and until it was completely till I had no relationship with this grandmother
yeah.
at all. I didn't speak to her in the last year of her life. Didn't just a whole lot that
Oh my god.
just nothing but she and a lot of it her impression of me was shaped a lot by my father but she just really was not any had no impact and influence on my life of any form of
So
positivity.
that
Mhm.
scene, and I'm sorry I keep interrupting you, but
No,
it's on
no.
purpose. I'm trying to keep you, like,
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah, gotcha.
Um, you're absolutely able to know what that four-year-old is thinking in
Mhm.
this happy scene with your grandparents. What is that four-year-old thinking? What is that four-year-old concluding about the himself or the world around him in that scene?
I think just stability and
D
just, you know,
All is well.
yeah, everything's okay. There's a safe place here and
Life is good.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now fast forward, let your mind take you to when it like, stepmom and
Mhm.
stepkid brother are in put yourself in a scene where and then connect to that four-year-old. What conclusion is that four-year-old you coming to right now?
Uh, I re
What's he deciding about himself or the world or
you know,
people?
just kind of introducing. I remember that's what kind of comes. It's like I'm introducing my stepbrother to because we ended up. My dad bought the house that I grew up in from out after the divorce. Bought it back from my mother, and so my stepmom, dad, and all the kids we moved into that house. And so I remember showing my stepbrother around, but it was weird because it was almost like I was in a I knew the house, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't like I'm showing you my house. It was just like, "Oh, I've been here before. Let me show you some things around this place where I've lived the last 4 years of my life, and I was taken away, and now here I'm back." So it's just kind of a bizarre if that makes any sense, and I was like, I'm taken to just showing him around.
Okay, and what are the thoughts about that?
Um, I don't know. I think,
So connect to the four-year-old,
yeah,
be in the four-year-old's body walking the brother around, and,
yeah,
what is he thinking about this? You said something you kinda said it, like, "What?"
yeah, yeah. I
It's just so weird.
Yeah, exactly. I think he is thinking, "I want you to like me because, you're here now." So I think the 4 I can tell you this, 4-year-old Jason and a much of adult Jason, for a lot of reasons that we don't have time on this show to go into, really wanted to be liked,
Yeah,
to
accepted
be
and, like,
accepted. Absolutely.
reasonable, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna come back, but I want you to come to today with the
Okay.
irritation and aggravation related to the to the what your inquiry was today, and how are they similar? How are those 2 scenes similar?
Which one? The one the where we
The
went to
the whole situation, I would say, and I don't
Oh,
usually do that, but I would just say the whole situation.
they're similar in that there's this almost like a mirage of a loving relationship that's there.
Mhm.
I can see it. Other people have it, but I can't have it. It's not available to me. It's not, but
Okay.
the people that have always been closest to me have eventually turned on me, disregarded me, kind of disposed of me. And so
Betrayal.
this, yeah, this particular grandparent
Mhm.
did that very thing, was like
Betrayal.
just yeah, totally, just
Okay.
I don't care about you. At the end of the day, back then I did, and then but literally could see her, the every day of my adolescent life because we lived so close together, and then just, like, completely disregarded me in the end, didn't really care anything about me.
Okay. I want you to go back to that situation when you were 4,
Okay.
and we're going to mentally apply white light to that situation. Now, white light is the highest vibration in the universe. It's pure peace, pure love, pure light. Some people call it the Holy Spirit. Whatever you want it to be, you're going to mentally kind of apply white light to that scene. We're going to swirl it around the 4-year-old you, around your stepbrother, around your grandparents, around the house, around all your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
the whole situation, being knocked off your throne, and then these people that were so important to you, um, turning on you, basically disappearing,
Mm-hmm.
abandoning you, betraying you. So mentally apply white light and something changes. Either like it's like a play button has been pushed and you start to go forward, or you start to think about it differently
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and what's coming to you.
First of all, like I was able to just visualize, and in my mind, just be it again
Yep.
because of my faith or whatever. It's like okay, having just knowing that the Holy Spirit and God was there with me in those moments, and they're there. But also, I think one of the things that I'm seeing is that they're just kind of there in the past, and they have nothing to do with today. Yeah, they influence some of today, but because that's something that I'm a big believer in is that things that have happened, it doesn't have to mean that today bring it forward, the anger, the bitterness. I mean, that was then. So that's kind of what's processing right now.
Okay, so I want the you that's you today to kind of climb into that scene and walk up to that 4-year-old little boy. And I want you to like get down on his level. And what would you say to him?
Mm, hmm. Wow, that's pretty.
Don't make this mean anything about you.
Yeah, yeah.
These are the adults' issues. You are perfect and lovable and amazing and deserve love. But all these adults are so messed up
I,
in their own
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
And they've just kind of forgotten about my feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So don't you dare make this mean anything about your lovability or your worth. I want you to hold on to it because it's yours and God gave it to you and it can never be taken away and it never changes. It's stable and constant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I like that.
All these people just kind of were wrapped up in their own stuff and you were collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
And your feelings were collateral damage. And you can tell this 4-year-old, I'm sorry no one took care of you and your feelings in this.
Yeah.
You just they just did what they did and no one ever checked on you. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's interesting. Wow, that's crazy, Claire. Because one of the things that I talked to my wife about a lot is like I was the kid that was part of a divorce that constantly heard about how bad my dad hurt my mom or my mom hurt my dad. Not one time. I'm 49 now. From 4 to 49, neither one of them sat me down and said, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, geez, Jason, are you okay? How'd you come out of the other end of it?
The fact that I remember whenever I was a kid, of course, I grew up in a small town in the buckle of the Bible Belt where parents didn't get divorced. And it was a different era, right? It was I grew up in the 80s. And so it was
Yeah.
very unusual. And my situation was really weird too, because I would literally go from the right side of the tracks to the wrong side of the tracks on a weekly basis because my mom was poor. And so she lived in a little, kind of crappy little house on a different side of town. My dad came from a very wealthy family, and so I had these weird and then I had a stepdad that would come home and smoke weed on the couch every day after work. My dad was like, "Don't you ever, only horrible people, do drugs." And so it's like it's these
Yes,
contradicting environments. And I remember people would come up to me, like teachers and stuff, after I'd, grown up and did okay, and they're like, I'm just so it's so good you turned out the way you did. And I remember as a kid thinking,
you're like, I didn't turn out so okay.
well, I mean, but I was also like, well, what the? I didn't realize because back then you didn't have people always intervening in a divorce with and asking the children how they're doing. Nobody, I guess, I don't. It didn't seem that that normal back then to okay. These people are going through divorce. And by the way, we should probably get Jason into counseling because this is going to have an impact
Right.
on his life. His life's about to be upended and changed really quickly. So we got to make sure
Yeah.
it just wasn't the
So
fit.
you realize that was also, like, you were also collateral damage to the
Sure.
time and
Sure.
to
Sure.
the
Sure.
social norms and
Yeah.
cultural no and
Absolutely.
and it's just, like, the thing that comes to my mind is even though they were messed up and in their own stuff, everybody was just doing the best they could,
Absolutely.
really. Their
Absolutely.
best their best wasn't very good,
Right.
but everyone was doing the best they can.
Yeah.
Does that feel a little better, that situation?
I think so. I think so for sure. For sure. And
We
I
would
think that,
probably spend a lot more time there, but I want you to come to the scene today, the irritation, aggravation today with this person and the betrayal and the hurt
mhm,
and lots of white light around that.
mhm.
Around you, around the person, around the relationship, around the betrayal, around the feelings, about the complicated aspect of it. So complicated and nobody can really have a stripped down, honest conversation about it. I just see it as very complicated.
Mhm.
And what starts to happen if you apply white light to that?
I think just kind of what 2 things. One, a bit of a release, at least in the moment, of some of the
Mhm.
bitterness, but also a reminder, like, again, having the image of that white light being the Holy Spirit coming in, realizing that, "Hey, there's more to this than just you and this person, and by the way, I've given I've told you, and you know instinctively how you're supposed to behave and look at this and not be hung up on, and you know there's no room for bitterness or anger in my
Yeah.
psyche. So you've got to figure out the tools to just release this and also to be understanding of this person's upbringing. They had a
Mhm.
worldview.
Yeah.
They had a
Yeah, like you said, like what was the norm for
yeah.
them
Yeah.
and their capacity. So I'm kind of thinking, like you said, there's no room for the anger. We can be honest about our anger and our hurt and the way people's as long as we do it kindly, honestly, and directly.
Yeah.
Kindly, honestly, and directly. And stick with the feelings and the behavior, you know. And some people are capable of that kind of conversation.
Mhm.
And the sad truth is some people just aren't capable just like I wouldn't expect my 3-year-old to sit through a 2-hour production, you can't expect some people to have a stripped down conversation that is gonna foster more intimacy. And so if that's the case, I usually have compassion for them because I know it sounds weird, but I feel sorry for them a little bit that they can't access that level of
Yeah.
intimacy and truth and communication and feelings and they're just too stuck in so much conditioning and stuff to get there. Um, but you said, "I've already told you they're stuck in their own." So it's again, I think this big theme is it's not about you.
Mhm.
It's not about you. It's all these people in your life that are stuck in their own stuff, but you made it mean something about you.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Okay.
For sure. I think that's
All right. Now I want you to go back to those colors in your stomach.
okay.
Those black and blue colors in your stomach, and we're gonna last thing, mentally apply white light to that. Lots and lots of white light, and this is like the energy of the irritation and aggravation until it starts to separate from your body, a little space, a little light, a little air, until it's no longer a part of you, it's just in you. And then as we bring in more white light, you'll notice that it desires an exit point, maybe out your mouth or right out the front of your stomach, your belly button. Where does it want to exit?
My mouth and nose, I think.
Okay, so go ahead and let that happen, and that white light is gonna help it out, and all the energy of that black and blue irritation and aggravation is gonna exit your body now, and then you just let me know when that's done. Sometimes it takes a few seconds till all of it's gone.
I think I'm there.
Okay, and then you go back to your stomach, and lots of white light around all the attachment points where that ever touched you, just kind of cleansing it, healing it, making it whole again. And then letting that light expand through your body, really feeling your wholeness. your worth, appreciating what you, the valuable lessons and character traits that you did take out of those difficult situations that have allowed you to help other people,
Mm.
and kind of owning and loving all of yourself. This is me world, quirks and all, faults and all, not perfect and all, but I'll love you like I'm amazing.
Okay.
How does that feel?
It's good. I like it.
Okay. So it's just a little lighter, a little freer.
Yeah.
Um, the release will continue to happen over the next couple days. I would have stayed longer with you. There's a lot to unpack there.
Oh, that's tough. I got all kinds. I got all. I could. Yeah, we could go all day, Claire.
But
Yep.
what, so I'm interested. You asked about subconscious healing.
Mhm.
That's my version of it, where we ask your mind to take you to the kind of the root. You got to see where you first were ever hurt that way.
Yeah.
And and kind of, since we changed the scene, it it shouldn't feel like it has as much hurt and a sting and a charge to it. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But how do I make that sustainable though? Because what? Because it's like anything. I think of it like anything else. I can get my room really clean and nice, but it gets junky again. How do I maintain the the low bad energy or whatever?
Right. So you rinse and repeat.
Okay.
Like, it's if you have more anger, we all have these, if you wanna get into stuck emotions, right?
Mhm.
And that's, you can see how that was. You had this feeling of betrayal and, confusion and anger, and they kind of got stuck in you. They were never processed, they were never digested, they were never released, you never got over them, they just stayed. And so, because most of us have done that our entire life, we've got all this, there's just more anger in you or more sadness in you, and you just release it over time. And over time, most people, when they start doing this, it's kind of frequent at first, like daily. And then I use it still, but like once a month, and it just becomes, that's, you're just lighter over time. There's less stuff for stuff to hit.
Yeah.
I stay pretty centered in a very difficult reactive conversation now, just because all those wounds, all those triggers, there's nothing to touch in there anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
because, you know, and if there is, it's not my husband's fault. Wow, thank you. Thank you for showing me I need to heal that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
like that.
I just had some conflict with my ex-husband, and he and I have been we get along great.
Yeah.
And we raise these kids that we share together, and our goal is that, and I had some conflict with him surrounding my son's graduation. And the thought that went through my head wasn't he's an asshole. It,
Mhm.
it was, wow, I still am holding on to some hurt apparently that I need to process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that's interesting too, because my I mean, I went through the same thing. My and I always say this, and I'll say this to this entire audience. The mother of my daughters, she was a horrible spouse, but an incredible ex-wife. She's great. Yeah, and
yeah.
that it's really weird because that relationship that probably was the worst of my. Well, I mean, she just kind of fell in line with people that were supposed to be faithful, loyal, and loving and weren't. She just kind of became part of one of those peoples in my life. But but it's been easier to forgive her. And the reason, or just to not hold anything against her. I don't know if you feel this way with your ex spouse, but a lot of it for me is just because I'm able to see that on the other side of it, as it relates to that, it sucks. And I don't understand why it happened. I don't know why, other than my beautiful, amazing daughters to show for it. Why did that part of my life happen? But my life is so good now that apart from her, and we do have a friendship and we have a great co-parenting relationship. My wife now, who had never had children and just adores my daughters, is could not be a better mother to them. And she and Carrie, worked so well together in the partnership of making sure that the girls are taken care of, and they're adults now. They're 23 and 24 years old. But, it's all of that, it's like, I really, even if I start to get mad at Carrie about, it's always something from the past, and I think, "But why would I be pissed? Because it's so good now." I had this, the Lord has blessed
Yeah.
me and restored me completely tenfold with Jimlin and the relationship we have. The other relationships are just, and I think a lot of the thing too, though, that Carrie has done that these other people have never done is Carrie has always acknowledged 100%, "I am so sorry for what I put you through. I am so sorry, and thank you for being a good father and the way you did, you try." I mean, not that look, I wasn't perfect because I mean, there were things like with unforgiveness and things
Mhm.
that I didn't practice, that I practiced unforgiveness instead of forgiveness, that led to some of the demise, but she's always been able to come back and go, you know, "I'm so sorry and thank you, and I'm so glad that you have Jimlin and that the girls have Jimlin," and she's just been really good in that respect. The others, you're talking about how it's kinda sad that these other folks can't have these types of conversations. I grew up in a family where if it was it you it's a worse offense for you to call out a parent or grandparent for some wrong they've done to you than the offense they committed in the first place. I mean, that's literally how it is. If
That's like you're upset at me for
yeah,
your bad behavior.
it's like you're
You're
not
upset at me for
allowed.
my
Yeah,
response to your
you can
bad
say,
behavior.
yeah, they can say whatever they want to you. They can be mad at you. They can insult you. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And if
But
but
yeah.
you actually saying, "Hey, by the way, you hurt me." Well, that's worse than the fact they hurt you in the first place. It's so bizarre, and so that's one of the things that just frustrates me to no
Well,
end.
you're wanting them to own it, but they're
Sure.
not going to. And
Right.
so
Right.
you asked, how do I hold on to this nice feeling? And the words that came to my mind were, it's not about me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's it's about them
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
their capacity and, and their conditioning and capacity and how they are able to show up. It's about them. And then it becomes a decision that you make about protecting your own peace and
Right.
creating a life that you love and protecting your peace. And some people, some relationships don't survive that chain. Like,
Mhm.
um, not that you just start cutting people out of your life, but maybe they start not getting close access to you.
That's where we are, and I mean, it's interesting you say that because and I had this conversation with Jimlin last night. I'm like, I've reached a point in my life where if and this can be not even somebody that's done me wrong, but if you don't bring light to my life, if you're not positivity, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I'm just not gonna spend any more time with you than I have to because life
Yeah.
is so darn short, and I really, it is a quandary with family members because they are your family, and I don't want it to be that way, but at the same time, it's like, if every single time I'm around these people, they bring me down or you just I don't or just a reminder of a lot of
Yeah.
then I'm just like, I'm gonna do the honorable thing to love where I can, but I'm not gonna probably not gonna spend
Yeah.
the time that I have.
Well, why it's like putting your hand out so it can get slapped. I
That's
had
exactly
a
exactly
client who finally did, you said you can't take a stand to your parents, finally did that and set
Mhm,
some boundaries because she was attacked
mhm,
verbally, and emotionally every time they interacted. And so why would I put myself on that battlefield just to be attacked?
yeah,
That's kind of insane. And I think I've had enough. Thank you very much. And and it becomes it's people ask, and the natural question people ask me is, how do you know? How do you know what relationship? And it's so simple. And you said it. I want to feel good.
mhm,
Do I feel good around this person?
yeah,
Do my conversations with this person make me feel good? That doesn't mean you don't ever spend time with the people that don't make you feel good, but it's limited and it's
yeah,
surface.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I want to feel good. I put my energy and time into people and situations and things that make me feel good. And yeah, just kind of and it's not mean. It's not it's you're still kind,
mhm,
but you're protecting your peace.
yeah, yeah, makes
Because
sense.
the cost of not protecting your peace is depression and anxiety and unhappiness and overwhelm and resentment and bitterness And that cost is too high.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing too, that a lot of people I don't think they get. And just backtrack real quick. The conversation that you and I are having, one of the things that frustrates me is that so many people aren't willing to do this and do the work. And that's one of the things I get pissed off about with people that are the victims and carry these. It's like, well, what have you done to try to fix any of this thing? Well, it's not for me to do. It's just this is the way it is. I get pissed off at people, like the people that are in bad health and they come to me and ask about health and stuff. And I'm to the point now, Claire, where a lot of them, they'll come to me, I'll go, I don't know what to tell you because I'm not going to waste my time. That's another thing. I'm
Yeah.
just not wasting my time casting pearls towards swine on a host of issues. It's like, again, life's too short. I'm not going to waste my time. Now, if someone comes to me and says, Jason, I need your help, I am all ears and I'm all in and I want to do everything in my power because because I need help in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because it looks like you are where I wanna be. How do I get there?
Heck yeah.
That
That's
that's
the,
the
but I
that's
get so
first important.
frustrated with people that aren't willing to do the work. But then again, going back to what we were kind of talking about, I think that a lot of people take for granted this idea that we're talking about curating the people you spend your time with and how important that is because like the old adage goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so you better be very, very particular and protective and steward those relationships and friendships because it is so important. And that's the older I get, the more I realize that I have so many friends. I like them, respect them. They've done great things, but I'm just probably not going to spend a lot of time with them because either they're into vanity and things that just about money and things I don't care about that don't fill your soul and make you a better human, or they're into whatever. I want people that are solid, that are involved in creating moments, contentment, life, relationships, love of their spouse, love of their children. Being a good partner in their community. Those people I'm all in on. That's what I'm going to spend. Not there's anything wrong with the other people that are living fat and happy in the matrix and loving it with their big cars and whatever else turns them on. Good. God bless you. Go for it. It's not my thing. I don't want to go for a ride in your Lamborghini. I'm okay.
Yeah, that's the thing is you have to not make them wrong,
Right.
right? Like, you have to say I say that to my husband a lot. "I'm not right or wrong, and you're not right or wrong. It's just different," you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you try to assign your values to somebody else, just like, so it doesn't feel good for them to try to assign their values. Like, why don't they have your values? Why don't they wanna be healthy? Why don't they wanna
Mm-hmm.
better themselves? I've met a lot of people as well that they just are not bettering themselves. They'll complain a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't wanna do what it takes. So why don't they do that, right? So you said it make you angry. I think it's because it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, and that pisses me off. Like, because you come back to it and we can touch on this a little bit. Like, what I gather from your idea of self-love is you love yourself enough to put yourself through some pain and some hard work to get to where you wanna go. I mean, a lot of people, I think this term, my daughter brought it up in New York. She lives in Manhattan, and we were having dinner. She brought it up one time, and I think she had a good context for it. But I think some people think that self-love is just in self-indulgence versus self-love meaning self-tough love, willing to go
It's
in,
the
like you said, face the
I
pain.
think self-love is self-acceptance.
Yeah, I like
Many
that.
of us were rejected for being our true selves, or our true selves weren't welcome. And so we shaped ourselves and did versions of ourselves for other people.
Oh, sure.
And so true self-love is self-acceptance, just kind of what we talked about. Your worth and how you are and not needing to be any different. That's self-love. And the healing process is about returning to self-love, self-trust, self-compassion. Um, and then when you don't reject yourself, no one else can reject you because you've completely accepted yourself. So you understand it's not about you, it's about them. And it's really okay. Not everybody has to get me. I'm gettable, but they don't get me. That's okay. And
Is
that's
it
what you come to.
is it fair to say whenever because we have this like Carl Jung always talked about the shadow self, right? And the masks that we wear. Is it reasonable though to say when you're willing to put yourself into that sort of self-evaluation, you do find some things about yourself like that you are an asshole. You are
It's not f
but
it's not flattering. That's
yeah,
how you know you've come onto truth is
cool,
when you uncover those truths and you take responsibility
cool.
and you stop the blaming and you own it, you're like, "That's not very flattering. I don't think I wanna know that." And I think that's why people don't do the work.
Yeah.
Now I was a victim. I didn't know I was, but I was. And I honestly think, how do you get out of the victim mentality into this readiness to heal? And I think it's one, increase your personal power. And you do that by self care. And Jason talks about a lot of modalities to do that. And then you find the ones that resonate with you and feel good to you and actually increase your energy levels. And then you get to a point where you're sick of yourself and you're sick of the issues. And, I've said it before, it's not about blaming anybody else anymore. It's about self care now. You just want to feel good. And you're the only one that can do that for yourself. And so I always say I turned around with my metaphorical sword and I was like, let's do this.
Right.
I was ready to face my demons because I was sick of feeling bad. Sometimes I think people just haven't felt enough pain from their issues. The pain isn't greater than the change, and that's okay. But when it's so intolerable, the status quo is so intolerable, you're willing to do anything. You're willing to face the unflattering parts of yourself. You're willing to change. You're willing to embrace them. You're willing to release what needs to go. You're willing to do the work, ugly work. And it's not fast. It's not super slow, but it's not fast. It's not a magic pill. It's not overnight. You know this.
Mhm.
You go to the gym. You can't go to the gym one time and expect a six pack.
That's right.
Darn it.
Well, and I do. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I am sympathetic to that, and that's why when people come to me and they want help with, if there's anything I can help with them with, regardless of what it is, I want to be there. If they're, and I'm also very sensitive to the fact that one, I'm weird. I obsess. I mean, the motto of my show is improve always and always, and it's not because I'm just this David Goggins, Jocko Willink,
I would make you change that. I would make you stop saying I'm weird. I would say people take care of themselves in different ways, and my ways are no different or better or worse than other people's ways, but my desire is to help as many people as I can, so I'm not weird. That's a lot of words. I'm I'm
it's unique
unique.
to me. My methods
Yeah,
are unique to me.
this is my uniqueness. This is the
I like that.
Jason Wright. And
Duh, I
so
like that, Claire. I receive that. I
okay.
mean, seriously, that's because I am empathetic because I know that my ways are unique to me, and I'm not gonna push them on everybody else. And at the same time, I'm very sympathetic for the fact, like you talk about pulling out that metaphorical sword, that dragon we're trying to slay. It's not like in the fairy tale where you slay the dragon, it's dead, you rescue the damsel in distress and you run off. No, this is one of those deals where you fight the dragon and you weaken the
Grows another
dragon.
head.
It grows in, but it still lives with you. Wake up the next morning, the son of a bitch is back. It's so I do try to be sympathetic to that fact because because I live it. I'm aware of it. There's certain dragons I have completely slayed, but I know they might just be hiding. There's others that like you said, they grow another head and they disguise themselves in different ways
Mhm.
through different people or different
They go
situations.
dormant, but then they
Yeah,
come out when they need to. That I wish people would know that's part of it and that's normal. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, but you probably know how to hurdle that easier and faster now
oh sure, yeah,
because you've been there, done that. And so it's more like, okay, here
yep.
we go.
Yep, yep, you're right, and when you're willing to do this introspective battle or kind of putting yourself, really putting yourself through it, then you're right, you put in the reps and you short circuit so many things, and it might be as simple like me, I live in my head a lot, and I know to yell stop, and I grew up with a very fixed mindset, obviously wanna grow. develop more of a growth mindset. And so you're able to have these tools to be able to say, I really, so instead of saying, I suck at this, I now flip that and go, I'm not good at this yet. And like you say, that impacts that subconscious brain because the
Yeah.
subconscious brain picks up on that and goes, oh, cool. So what you're saying is there's a chance. It's kind of Jim Carrey
Yeah,
and
I
Dumb and
never want
Dumber.
you to call yourself weird again.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
Deal.
no,
Deal.
but I know you journal, and
Yeah.
I have a journal with all of my, I call them it's my truth journal. All
Okay.
the truths that I come to every time I apply the white light and I realize something different, you are valuable, you are worthy. Not everyone's gonna get me, but that's okay. Like, it's called my truth journal. And when I do get in those spaces, where I'm getting in my own way or I'm getting negative or I go down that rabbit hole, it still happens to me. I go to my truth journal and all I have to do is read it, start reading it, and I coach myself, right? I'm coaching myself back to feeling good, back to truth, back to the space and the energy and the alignment I want to be in. And so I would encourage everyone to have a truth journal and just write things in there that make you feel good. Things that you need to hear, you know what you need to hear.
Mhm.
You coach yourself out of those holes that we sometimes just fall back into.
Yeah, and something I love that idea. I love the idea because the truth journal is it's a great reminder of what is true about a situation because the like fear, the whole false evidence appearing real, regardless of what that is. Another thing that I have not done this yet, but it just occurred to me. Jim and I were just on a vacation, and I thought about because my journaling had gotten kind of stale, and then also one of the things I really want to work on from from a stoic standpoint is always being able to, or Viktor Frankl, being able to manage that space between stimulus
Mm.
and reaction. The in between is space, and if you can manage that space and how you react. And one of the things that I've learned about myself is like there'll be something that'll happen that'll just cause this visceral burning in my stomach, which is the anxiety. And so, what I want to start journaling, I want to see what you think about this is I wanna start taking those moments, and for me, it's usually fear. I have lived my life in a great deal of fear, fear of disappointing people, fear of going broke, fear of failure, fear just fear, fear, fear. And so, if something happens to me and I feel that visceral, um, feeling in my stomach, I'm gonna start writing the story that I'm telling myself that is behind that fear, and then I think tag on to that, I like your idea of then follow that up with the truth,
The
be it
truth is,
the
the
truth
truth
is
is,
you've seen this happen a million times before, and the truth is the worst outcome is usually not the thing that happened, and but the truth is, this is all just BS. It's in your head. The reality is you're getting upset or fearful of something that and then I think that's where
and your body and your nervous system is having a normal reaction,
yeah,
right? It thinks
yeah,
you're in danger and it's
yeah,
alerting you to that. But
yeah,
thank you very much, nervous system. Actually, everything is okay. And I'm a risk taker
yeah,
and I take risks and I push myself out of my comfort zone and I'm a grower. And so sometimes that is going to kick fear up. Thank you very much. Good thing my system's working great. But welcome to the welcome to
yeah.
the club.
I like it.
You're
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like, so the fear isn't bad, it's just showing you where your comfort limit is, but you are a risk taker, you do grow, you do live outside of that comfortable, groupthink, you know,
Yeah,
thing, and so, yes, fear is gonna come up to alert you whenever you've stepped outside of those boundaries, and so you can start to condition your fear to, recalibrate to a different level so that it doesn't come in so, uh, like, it has to be more fearful for it to come in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. Well, Claire, this has been awesome, and I mean, thank you so much for. I mean, God, you took me all the way back to when I was 4 years old, and I hope that real time kind of session gave some people some ideas, and if nothing else, at at a macro level to understand that this idea of self-love and healing and doing away with being the victim is to have the courage to get the tools and start the work on yourself. And to that end, tell me kind of like who is your wheelhouse client? How do they find you? How do people benefit from the work you're doing? How do people stay in touch with you? Just give this audience some information about you and do you work from a distance virtually? I don't even know where you are. Where are you?
I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and yes, I live on Zoom.
Oh,
So
there you
I see
okay.
clients on Zoom all over the world. I actually set up a coffee date and I was like, "Can we do it over Zoom?" Because and that's normal to me, but then I forgot that that's not normal to everyone. Um, but yes, so I work with people that cover the root cause of what's really going on. Um, Depression and anxiety are not the problem. They're symptoms of the problem. They're not the core issue. And so, and anxiety is not bad. It's alerting you to something that's off in your world. And so I teach people how to find and interpret those messages. So if you're
Mm.
interested in that, some ways you can connect with me, or you can go to my Instagram at claire.unkefer, and I'm sure it will be in the show notes. You can follow me there, and actually in my bio, I have a link for a free guided meditation that I did with Jason, that root cause meditation. You can get a free root cause meditation to try it out for yourself if you want to. And you can go to claireunkefer.com and find me there.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, Claire. I
Yeah.
really appreciate
Yes, it's been fun.
it.
Yes.
Right. I always it's funny. I think whenever people get on here and they realize what kind of how I roll, it's like, wow, this guy's because I always tell people, I don't know if I told you or not, but I usually try to come in with just curious. That's my deal. I try not I do a little research. I want to know who I'm talking to, obviously, before
Mhm.
you ever come on the show. But and I think that you saw that, and so and thanks for putting up with my monkey brain, and just and thank you for being willing to share your knowledge with me. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I love that about myself that, I think I see through personalities to the person. And once you can do that, um, everyone is beautiful. And
Yeah.
so I just want everyone to I just, um people are so hard on themselves, and I just want everyone to see that light and how beautiful they are and to love themselves and feel good,
I
right? That's
love
what
that.
it's about.
Amen. Amen. I'm all for feeling good. All right, Claire, thank you so much, folks. Thank you for joining us on the Jason Wright Show. I'm Jason. She's Claire, and we are out. Well, that does it for this episode of The Jason Wright Show. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a Texas Titan Media production. Fourth Wall did the music. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Please consider going out to jasonwrightnow.com and signing up for the Vitruvian Letter. Also, please go out to iTunes. It takes like 30 seconds to just leave us a 5-star rating. It does wonders for the podcast. I would be so grateful. And with that, until we meet again, go crush it and endeavor to improve always in all ways. I'm out.